I'm Rod Brown. Welcome to the Skype tutorial on remote client visitation for your clients at the West Tennessee Federal Detention Center. I'm the Computer Systems Administrator for the Federal Defender's Office in the Western District of Tennessee. This walkthrough will touch on the technology and the process that you may need to adapt to be able to conduct remote visits with your clients while they're in detention at Mason. I will attempt to cover some of the likely scenarios that you may experience based on the agreed upon policy between the prison officials, the U.S. Marshal Service, the Federal Judiciary, the Federal Defender, and the CJA panel. This includes access using Skype and Zoom. So, let's dive in. As court proceedings have been scheduled, attorneys are hard-pressed to prepare for those meetings without ample access to clients. The Federal Defender Office for the Western District of Tennessee has purchased 2 self-contained systems for video conferencing. iPad Pros with AT&T cellular service will be used to conduct scheduled visits with clients. The picture on the left is the secure storage box that houses the iPads when they're in use and not in use. Clients will have no access to touch the screens or the devices. They only have access to the speakers on the outside of the box. The iPads have Skype for Business, Zoom, and Google Email installed on them for use by the Federal Defender, panel attorneys, and the clients. A facilitator will be used to begin each session by going into the email and choosing the appropriate meeting link for the prescribed session. In order to schedule sessions with the client, the attorney would need to request a time slot from Miss Lori Counts, via email or by phone with the client information, date, time, and expected time slot that you are requesting. It's also requested that you keep your time slots to under 2 hours to accommodate the other attorneys and client visits. In the next segment, I'm going to demonstrate the process of creating a Skype meeting invite with Microsoft Office email. The Federal Defender's Office utilizes Office 365 with integrated Skype for Business. Your Office or Outlook setup and may be different. To use this method, you will need at least Office Outlook 2016 and Skype for Business Basic. In some cases, the plain version, the standard version of Skype, will also work. I'm going to launch my email. And for my calendar, I'm going to click on New Skype Meeting. Now, this new Skype meeting will allow me to invite users within my organization and users outside of my organization. So if I was going to if I was going to send an invite to the for a visitation meeting, I would send a message, an email to TNW client@gmail.com. Put in a subject here. Typically that would be the name of the client. I would choose a time. And any reference information that I wanted to include, I could include that above the dotted line here. here. Okay, so if I were going to also add a second user, whether it be an investigator or someone else within my agency, I could click here and type their email address. I'll just add myself. And so what this would do is this will send this join Skype meeting link to both of these email addresses. It will also add the event to the calendar. For internal users, you may want to check scheduling assistant, but for those outside the organization, in particular the prisons, it's not necessary. So I would go ahead and click the send. I'm not going to send to that email. I'm just going to do a TNW test at gmail.com, and I'm going to go ahead and hit send. So once that happens, I automatically get the message within my the notification within my email. Go ahead and dismiss that. It shows the message, it shows the event in my calendar, and if I go to Skype, it'll also show the event here in Skype. So if I wanted to, I could click to join the meeting right now, which I'll do. Okay, so here I am connected to the meeting session, and now I'm just waiting for the other users to join. Something to note: once you're inside the session, you can also add users through this link here. Participant actions. You can mute your audience. You can hide the names. You can invite others by email. I think this is the easiest method to add others to the Skype session. So we're going to add others. Click on that link and it puts a pop-up behind the box. So I bring that box back forward. I can add another user if I wanted to add them to the email, and it would send them a join Skype session meeting as well, meeting invite. So go ahead and close that. We've been running into a little bit of an issue where there have been some clients who have been in a lobby, in the Skype lobby, and once you're in the lobby, what tends to happen is if you don't accept, if you're not invited to within the meeting after a certain time period, it times out. So if you want to change that option, you can go here to more options, Skype meeting options, and here you can change the setting for who is allowed to go directly into the meeting and who has to wait in the lobby. For my purposes here, I'm changing it to everyone. That means everyone from my organization will go directly in. You don't have to go through the lobby. Outside of my organization, I would suggest that you allow anyone without restrictions. That way the client will come directly into the lobby, and there's a lot less likelihood that they'll have an issue connecting. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and select this, and now I'm going to do a test join for myself. I'm joining from another device. And I'm going to join as a guest. Okay, so as you can see, joining as a guest, when I've changed that setting, it allows me to come directly into the meeting without the need to be invited. Interesting. And let's go ahead and go here. I want to share content. If I were going to share content with myself, with a guest, you can click here to share content. And I want to share a window. Alright, so sharing a window will allow me to share any application that I have open currently with my clients. If this is Adobe, it'll allow you to share PDFs, PSR reports, or any relevant discovery that you want to share with them. Skype has a limit in which sharing audio has been very, very difficult, to say the least. It's been a major challenge getting Skype and audio to work. So at this point, sharing video, body-worn cameras with the audio is probably a no-go with Skype. We'll cover that a little bit later with Zoom. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and exit out of here, and we'll go ahead and cancel that meeting or hang up the call, and that ends the call. So to wrap up the portion on Skype, we went through the process of scheduling a meeting. You'd reach out to Lisa Counts or Lori Counts. I think Lisa West is the IT person there. Lori Counts with the Mason Core Civic Prison. After you have chosen a time that works for both of you, you can go ahead and schedule your meeting through Outlook or through Skype, and your client should be able to connect. There are several users who stated that they did not have access to Skype for Business, or they weren't comfortable with Skype for Business. In that case, we did make the option to use Zoom available as well. Rather than going through a demonstration with Zoom, I'm just going to plug in a quick tutorial from something that I found online that I think will be very helpful.
Hi, Paul Cannon here. In this video, we're going to talk about how to use Zoom for video depositions and hearings. As I'm shooting this deposition, I'm sitting here at home during the stay-at-home order for the coronavirus outbreak that's happened. So if there's a better time to learn to use video depositions and video software for doing depositions and hearings, I don't know when it would be. This has been a great awakening for a lot of people to realize it's time to get into the modern times and learn to use video software for depositions, meetings, client conferences, and other reasons. So that's what we're going to talk about. First of all, let's talk about equipment you need. You have to have a computer with a webcam that is a microphone and a video camera available that each person who plans to attend the meeting can access. Now, depending on how the hearing is being conducted, if it's being conducted in a court and you're going to have a witness who's going to testify, the key is that the witness has the video and that you have at least one receiver in the courtroom to see the video on. It may be that multiple people in the courtroom, such as the judge and the attorneys, can share one camera, because it's not necessarily important for the witness to actually see each individuals who are talking during that particular meeting. But if you're doing a deposition, it's good to have a laptop or a computer that each individual has in front of them that they can use to do this. I've done some depositions before with other software where we had a court reporter who was present in the room with either the witness or present in the room with the attorneys, and a court reporter swore the person in and then took it down, and that's an option as well. But the easiest way is if everyone's got their own kind of camera and their own video and can see what's going on. All right, something else you need to know about Zoom is that if the meeting that you're going to have, or the hearing, is going to last longer than 40 minutes, then you have to have at least one person with an account. The person with the account would then be the host of the meeting, or the person who instigates the meeting. But the free version of Zoom only goes up to 40 minutes. The last thing you want to do is be in the middle of a deposition or in the middle of a hearing and suddenly it all shuts off because somebody didn't have an extended account. As long as one party has that account, they can then invite other people to their meeting, and that's all that's required. The other people don't have to have a paid account. A paid account will run you anywhere from about $15 to $25 a month, depending on what type of account you get. All right. So let's talk a little bit about Zoom. Dive right in and kind of take a look at what it is. I'm going to transfer the screen over here to Zoom. This is what the application itself looks like when you are the person who's going to host the meeting in Zoom. You have an option. You can either create a new meeting directly just by creating it and individually asking people to come, or you can schedule a meeting, which is what most people are going to want to do if it's a deposition or something. Scheduling can also be handy if you're doing it in a courtroom, because you're basically then send out a link. You can schedule it for immediate time and have the people just click in as soon as they're ready. So when you go to schedule a meeting, here's what happens. First, the topic. So my Zoom meetings, Paul Cannon's Zoom meeting. It'll have a start date that you can set and change to whatever time you want over here. So if I want to do it right now, I might come back and say it's 2:45. I'm going to set this to 2:45, so we're doing it right now. The duration here, you'll notice, is set at 30 minutes. If you click down, you can pick from 0, 15, 30, or 45 minutes. If you pick 45, you're going to see this notice. Your plan has a basic 40-minute limit with 3 or more on meetings with 3 or more participants. Therefore, you have to upgrade if you want more than that. Okay, so we'll set it back right now for 30 minutes. Then you get to pick. Do you want to generate a meeting automatically, or do you want to use a personal meeting ID? Mine's pre-selected on personal meeting. It'll have a password there as well. This is a randomly generated password. I don't pick a password particularly, but you can randomly generate a password, or you can tell it not to require a password. I would say if you are hosting a meeting, you should use a password. There are instances of people going out there and breaking into other people's meetings and messing stuff up and just being disruptive. Unfortunately, there's people like that on the internet. So I would suggest if you're doing something official, require a meeting password. That way nobody can do that. Secondly, if you want to, you can pick, you want the host video on, you want the participants video on, and then you want to select if people can join by both telephone and computer audio in the event that somebody wants to be able to hear but doesn't have video capabilities working, or sometimes you get too much feedback on a computer. You can always call in by phone as well. So then when they come along, then you come down here, you have advanced options where you can enable a waiting room. I would recommend you do have a waiting room, particularly if you're doing some kind of a hearing. Waiting room simply means that when people initially log on, if you have not started the meeting yet, they sit outside the waiting room. Instead of being in, talking to people, communicating with others, whatever, you can't, where nobody can see what's going on because you're not there yet. If you enable join before host, that means they can get into the meeting before you get there. All right, so you pick your time, you do all this, and you hit schedule. When you do that, it takes a moment. When you do that, you now have a set scheduled meeting. See, it's set for now. I can hit start. You can do a lot of different things. But it gives you the option generally to go ahead and send an email. Click. So you click on that, and here's the actual video itself. It's not able to start my video because of the fact that I'm using video for recording right now, but normally you would have a video picture on here. You would then be able to send an initial meeting that you're setting up that's not happening right now. You're going to get an email notice, and you can send emails to people that say, here's the time, here's the place, and it'll ask you to push in information, invite participants. Here, I get a button that says invite participants. I can pick from any of the people on my list, or I can say email, choose your default email, and I can type it directly in. You see down there it said copy invitation. I can do a block and copy invitation and send to someone. But here you see email pops up. Here you see how the Zoom meeting, there's the link, there's the meeting ID. If you have included a password, the password will automatically be in there as well, and that will enable you to then use that to run your meeting. All right, once you've got this set up, all the participants are going to appear in this meeting. You have the ability to press the record button right here and record it. Only the host can actually record the meeting. So the host can press record the entire meeting, and there you have a video recording of the entire deposition or meeting, hearing, or whatever it is. But again, the host is the only one who can press record. Everyone else can request to record it, but it will ask the host for permission before it allows that. If you need to share documents, there's a screen share feature as well, where you can click on this, it'll bring it up and say, which document do you want to share? And you can have a whiteboard feature, which means you can draw notes, or you can go to a specific document. After your Zoom meeting is concluded, if you chose to videotape it, it will automatically download a MPEG type file of the video onto your hard drive into a Zoom directory that it will create if you don't already have one. That can then be shared with the other attorneys or used for whatever purposes you need as far as reviewing the video goes. Something else I wanted to share with you is that Zoom is one of many choices out there as far as sharing videos goes, but Zoom seems to be the most popular one that I've seen used right now, and the most requests I get when people want to have any kind of conference or meetings seem to come through the Zoom feature. So I've used it quite a bit for other meetings and conferences and just talking to clients, things like that as well. In fact, our firm is offering it as a way to communicate with clients, both with our case managers and with our attorneys, because it is an easy way to be able to communicate with your clients, meet new clients, meet prospective clients, without having to have a face-to-face meeting, without them having to drive to an office location, and under the circumstances, without anyone having to risk getting the coronavirus while we're under this stay-at-home order, which hopefully will be lifted by the end of this month. So the other thing to think about, though, is there are other options out there. I actually have used Skype in the past. It's been a good at least 5-6 years. I use Skype in order to conduct I've used it for two reasons. I've used it to do depositions, and I've used it for minor settlement hearing. It's important to note that at least the Skype version I had did not have the ability to videotape or record the conference, and as a result, in order for us to have a video deposition, we had to have a videographer aim their video recorder directly at the computer screen and just video the computer screen of the witness testifying in order to create a video. Zoom is much easier than that. I don't know if Skype has fixed that yet or not, or if there's still more of just a calling versus recording type device. Another feature I've had, or use I've had in the past with Skype, is I used it to conduct a minor settlement hearing. I actually had a minor settlement hearing where I had a client that my clients had, after having an accident while living here in the States, they were missionaries and they had moved to, I believe it was Panama somewhere, and we're doing missionary work over there. So in order for us to conduct a minor settlement hearing that was going to take place in Austin, Texas, we had them appear by Skype, and I brought a laptop in, and the judge and myself and the defense lawyer all just asked our questions via, what with the other person being there on Skype as if they were a witness there the entire time. We did not need to videotape that because it was a proceeding in front of the court, and everything went very smoothly. In fact, I'm going to place a link in the description of this video to an article that I wrote about that whole proceeding and how it went. And if you have interest in reading more about how that works or how it went for me, you can go there and read that article.